And we're live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours with Arrow, a LinkedIn Live event hosted by Arrow leaders who care about what senior living looks like. I am so happy to be back. I am Rachel Sheehan, host and producer, and I am here today with a great array of memory care teams. So I want each of you to introduce yourself. We'll start with Liz. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, I'm Elizabeth Thompson. I'm the Senior Regional Director for Memory Care at Arrow, and I help with all of the communities and all the memory care directors, and it's amazing.
And what's your favorite part about working with memory care?
When I was in a community, I would say the residents, but now that I'm not in a community, I would say just helping people. Just helping them with maybe residents that may be challenging or learning more about dementia. I'm a helper.
Yes. And I think that's the heart of senior living. Like, I think we just all want to help. So I love that for you. Val, tell us where you are, who you are.
Yeah. So I'm a memory director at Castlewood, and I've been here for 2 years. And I love senior living. I love memory care. I love sitting down with the residents and talking all things, all history with them. And it's the funnest part of my day.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect for our topic today, too. Shantel, tell us about you.
Hi, everyone. I am Shantel Crenshaw. I am the memory care director here at the Solon location. One of my favorite things about senior living is identifying the problems and the needs of the residents. That's my favorite thing so far. Problem solving, trying to get to the bottom of what fits them better, what they need the most. I find joy in identifying something that suits them.
Yeah, very cool. I love this. We got Missouri and Ohio. We're both sides. I love it. Yeah, my favorite part of when I was in a community, when I would go to memory care, I love that I'm wearing the Let's Chuckle today because I feel like with memory care, I knew I could go over there and always have a good time. And it kind of gave me that refresh of the day. Like, there's no pressure. They just want to hang out with you and love you and vice versa. So very cool. Thank you guys for what you do every day. But today we're here to talk about a special project that happens during the month of March, which is coming to an end. But I would love for us to just highlight our HERstory campaign. So, Liz, you want to share what is HERstory? What do we do for that?
So HERstory is during the month of March, which is Women's History Month. And we like to highlight stories of our memory care residents, women, who are living in memory care who may not even remember their story, but just really feature them and bring light to all of the amazing things that they've done. And so that's what HERstory is.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think, I just think I would want that for myself in the future. You know, I want somebody to write my story. So that's awesome. And how did it get started? I know we've been doing this for a couple of years now.
Yeah, so it's funny that you asked because Lenny asked me that on Nicely News, and I had reached out to Shannon. I'm like, I remember talking about it, I remember planning it, but like we could not remember how it really started. It was just Women's History Month. We wanted to do something special, and we made it about memory care residents. And I know it was a collaboration of people, but it just happened, and I think it was 2021 was the first year, and it just has blossomed and grown, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, because I know when we originally were doing it, we just said, send us one woman in your neighborhood. And that's still what we ask, but then sometimes we get 10 from one neighborhood, and it's awesome. Yeah. And also for anybody listening who doesn't know what the Nicely News is, it's a show we put out every Friday just to highlight different things going on in our communities. And so this past week's episode was on HERstory, which is what we're talking about today. So that's awesome. Go watch it. If you haven't, you can be found on our YouTube and our LinkedIn and everywhere. So, okay, I want each of you to think about this, but why do we do this? Why does it matter to preserve these stories? Shantel?
I believe it matters because it keeps their journey, their story alive. It's memorable. It's also healthy for the family to understand. Just because you may have a loved one that have some form of cognitive decline, that at one point in their life, they also reached their achievements. They worked hard to accomplish their goals, and it matters from now until forever.
Yes, I love that. Val, you have anything to add?
Yeah, at Arrow, we love to foster connections. And what better way to foster a connection between the family members, the resident, the staff, everybody to collaborate to a story and find out the history of our females.
Yeah.
Love that. I think too, you know, there's such a stigma about dementia. And a lot of times people think, oh, they have dementia, they don't remember, or, you know, and I think this is a way for us to really humanize the disease, and we focus on the person and not the disease that they're living with. And, you know, this goes to just preserving their legacies, but also it speaks to all people, whether you have dementia or know someone who has dementia or not. The stories are really neat to hear about. We have so much we can learn from our seniors.
And I'm going to throw up this question from our chat. So Stephanie asked, which story stands out to you from over the years? So Liz, I know you've been doing this for what we said 4 years now, I think. So do you have one in mind? Or, I mean, anybody can answer. I know we have a couple we're going to share at the end, but.
You know, one of my favorite stories was about one of my residents, and she had started her own mom and pop store. She was won an award in basketball, but I think the part that touched me the most about it was, I mean, I truly love this resident, but the fact that they used it at her funeral. The beginning picture that we do with the purple background, you know, and talking about, you know, we'll remember her story. They had that printed really large and on an easel at the funeral. And I just thought, man, that really touched the family to do that, you know, and they have that story forever. And so, yeah.
That's exactly one of the things I was going to mention. So it's similar. We do our centenarian stories too. And it's like, what a blessing that we get to do these things while they are alive. And when we want that, like, write our stories now. We don't have to wait till that time to write these down. And so I think it's such a gift you guys bring to the families by doing this. So I love that. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the process and what we do, just in case anybody's listening and wants to try this. How do we gather the stories? What is our process there?
Well, it was pretty straightforward. In order to know best about our residents' past, you know, we have to collaborate and connect with the families, those that lived in the moments with them and are closest to them. So that's what I did. I reached out. I had some one-on-ones, and it was very good, because sometimes some of the relatives, when they thought they were done providing me with things, they will open up an old photo album, a book, and they would say, oh, wait, I forgot she or he also did this. Let me provide you this. And so it was amazing for them to relive some of those stories that their mom or their aunt have told them about, and they just have not heard it in a few years. So asking for it and connecting with the families was amazing. It allowed them to have some of those memories come back up for them. And ultimately it was good. It was a good thing.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's kind of the same for me. We do either you can do a family night and just get everybody together and bring all your photos and stories and just write everything down and just get conversations going.
Yeah, very cool. And that's what I love, that you guys have this time with the families, because also I think to take better care of our residents, to know those things like she won a basketball award or whatever, because you can start talking about those things and bringing that up. And I'm not a dementia expert like Liz, but but I know like that time of their life might be what they remember better now, right? So I think discovering those things about our residents is huge. It's super important.
I think when you share the story from the family back to the resident, it's really neat to watch them just light up and kind of remember some of those things, and then the realization coming to them of, I did that. That was me. Like, oh.
Yes. Yeah. So how has that been? Like, have you guys had any reactions from family members? Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I had a good reactions. And even what I did was I took the opportunity for everything that we gather. And what I did was I made it an engagement event. So not only is it a HERstory, but I also presented it to the residents to show them, hey, this is you. This is what you accomplished. And as you stated, Rachel, you would be surprised that they live in that moment. They remember the day. I had one of the residents say, hey, how did you get this? She knew it was herself and she had no idea, like, how did you get your hands on this? So it was an opportunity to go back down memory lane and to talk about their accomplishments, their achievements, and how did it feel for them to accomplish those special moments in their lives.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And when you share them on Facebook, you get so many different people that may not be the immediate family that's telling you the story, but they remember things too. Maybe a sister that doesn't visit often. They all get to see the history and have the memories flow.
Yeah. And I want to go back to, Liz, what you were saying about destigmatizing, because I think when people think or see somebody on the outside, not their family member or us, but like when they see somebody and see they're living in memory care, that's the only thing they're thinking of them. And so you get to show that they did this, this, and this. I remember the story of a resident who, she was a human computer back in the day before we had computers, like a decoder. And I'm just like, I've read about these things. I've seen movies about these things. And this is a real living person who did that. I've lived my whole life with computers. So I didn't even know, that was necessarily a thing. So learning about these, it's just incredible stories. I do want to ask one question, Val. You mentioned family night, and some people watching may not know what our family nights are like. Can you just real quick explain what family night is?
Yeah, we try to do a monthly family night and just invite everybody to do a different event. It can be a gardening night. It can be a picnic night, a candlelight we do all the time. So it's just gathering of family members of residents to get together and conference about everything and anything.
Yeah, very cool. And I love that you did your stories there too. So, and that's the thing, Shantel, when you said you were reading these stories to them, is this something, do the staff in your communities, do they read them? I'm just curious.
Yeah, everyone was involved. We always had a very equal interest in learning about the past of the people that sometimes can't express it to you. So once we got the information, everyone looked. I even went to the other department heads and showed them, like, look how beautiful these women were. Look how beautiful they still are. But again, to just remove the stigma of memory care, you are focusing on the person and not the diagnosis. It showed you that this was a person, this is still a person, just like you and I, that at one point in time, they were working, they were raising their family, they were, working in their career. And so we all was a part of it. And it's very enlightening. It's very special to them.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm going to talk for a second about the little technical side of it. So you guys gather the stories, right? And then where do those go after that? Who do you send them to?
We send them to Charlie. And
I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, I should have had Charlie on here too, because he could tell us so many of the stories. But I just want to give a shout out to Charlie, because the thing is, these family members, they don't have to be amazing writers, right? They could literally just send you bullet points, and Charlie makes it into a beautiful story. And so, they're all beautiful stories, but he edits it for us. And that's huge help, because then we take it, you guys gather pictures, from across their lifespan. And then we take that and we make graphics for social media. And then with the story, we can do that. And we also turn some of them into like videos and TikToks too. So I think that's an awesome part of it, and just sharing the stories. And so getting those out there, I know Val mentioned a little bit when it's on Facebook, but why do we do it so publicly? A lot of times with memory care, we want to keep things private because they can't consent the same way everybody else can. So why do we put their stories out there like this?
I just think that every story is important, and to get it out there is just amazing. And the resident may not know that they're top news that day, but they're going to be top news for somebody that day.
Yeah.
I think it goes along with, humanizing dementia. These are human beings who have led incredible lives. Just amazing lives, and they matter. And that's why I think when we put it out there publicly, it's not just appealing to, people who work in senior living or people who have family members with dementia. It appeals to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, we always make sure we have family permission. We have photo releases, that kind of thing. You know, if somebody wants their story that doesn't want to be on social media, we can always do that for them too. So it's not just like you have to say yes to being on social media. That's, you know, part of it that we love, because we do want to show off these stories. And also, like, if you go look at our TikTok account or whatever, I just love always the comments that people are saying, like, thank you for sharing this story. Or a lot of times we'll see stuff like, this reminds me about my mom, or, you know, just things like that. So definitely encourage you to go look at those as well. But I'm going to say next, I just want to, we've been talking about our process and everything, but I actually want to share, you guys to share a couple of the stories, because I think that's so important to kind of give everybody a taste of what this is really about. So we do have longer versions of these stories, and that's what we post on our Facebook, but then Charlie also edited shorter versions for us as well. So Shantel, do you want to read yours first?
Sure, no problem. So I'm reading the HERstory of Hisa. Hisa is a resident in an Arrow Senior Living Memory Care neighborhood. Unlike other young women in post-war Japan, Hisa dreamed of going to America, foregoing her own path and making choices on her own terms. When she arrived in the USA, she barely spoke English and faced racism and rejection. Starting at the deli counter at a Woolworth, Hisa steadily climbed the corporate ladder in the travel industry and eventually started her own successful business. Beyond her career and family, Hisa was also a gifted artist, expressing herself through charcoal and pen sketches. Her story is one of unwavering courage, resilience, and determination.
I love that. So with her story, is there anything you pick out that, like, you talk to her about now, or like maybe you learned from the story that you're like, I'm going to use this when I work with Hisa?
Yes. So one of the things that stuck out the most, what he identified, was once she told her family that she was interested in coming over to the U.S., they pretty much rejected her. They were totally against it. Her siblings, her entire family pretty much shunned her away, because back then it was not common for a young girl to make that type of decision on her own. She was unmarried. She was uneducated at the moment. However, she was determined, and she did it. She told me that she got a map and she learned secretly. And she began to make the process to transition over to the U.S. And once she got over here, she stated she knew that the opportunity was endless. And so she kept going until she reached the career point that she had. And she was very successful in her artistry career, in her travel industry.
I absolutely love
incredible.
That. Because seriously, because I feel like a story like that could be negative. Like, she could be always stuck in that, oh, my family doesn't like me being here. But no, instead she's like proud that she did that.
Yes.
Incredible. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing. Val, do you want to share yours?
Yeah. So my story is about Beverly. Beverly is a resident in our community. She was born on a farm in northwest Iowa in September of 1943. Bev and her husband Willie spent the early part of their marriage living overseas until he was discharged from the military. Their 2 children were born after their return to the States. The couple embraced new hobbies and adventures, taking up golf and scuba diving, traveling, and even running a successful manufacturing business with 2 plants. Bev served as vice president. The couple retired to the Missouri Ozarks. Their relationship is genuine and beautiful, a true fairy tale.
I will say he was in that picture with her, but I cropped him out because I wanted to focus on her. I'm sorry, hubby, but no, that's amazing too. I just feel like, wow, that's like a story we would want to be shared about our lives. What is something that sticks out to you that you maybe use when you speak to Bev?
So when I saw the pictures, he submitted so many pictures, and one was of her scuba diving with sharks. And that's just an amazing story to talk to her about. But Willie is her whole life. So we normally talk about Willie.
I love that. Do you guys think there's something someday when somebody writes a HERstory about you? Like, what is the one thing, like, you know, do you think it would be your husband they talk about the most, or scuba diving or something?
Oh, God. Gosh.
I know.
I know.
I'm throwing
That's a
this
good question.
question out. No prep. I know.
I'm just thinking of Hisa's story and how she used to work at a Woolworth. And I'm like, I used to go to Woolworth. I'm going to be in the community before we know it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's actually, it's funny that you asked that because there is a website that I stumbled upon called Storyworth Memoirs.
Okay.
And it's like $100 a year, but it's where they give you a prompt each week. And then at the end of the year, that $100 includes a book. And it's all about you. And I thought that would be really cool to do for our families.
Yeah. I remember in college I had to interview my grandparents and write a story about it. So I love having that. And that's why I want to offer to anybody listening, if you want us to help you preserve a story, please reach out. I'm not trying to give Charlie more work, but I'm sure he would love to help. So
He eats it up.
yeah, he's amazing because he does it for all our centenarians too, which is another topic someday. But I love that because I just think there's so many listening to these stories across all of our communities. There's some emerging themes of like different careers, motherhood, resilience. Like I feel like resilience comes up in every story. And I just love you guys for sharing that and taking the time to get your residents to get to know your residents better. So thank you for all this effort. Val, I know you've done this for a couple years. Shantel, this is your first year, but you're both so excited about it. So is there anything, Val, in your couple years that you've noticed doing this multiple times?
I noticed just the similarities in the story, kind of how we talked already about their moms. They're real people. They're business owners. A lot of them ran businesses, or at least were bosses, not department heads, but bosses of their businesses. And yeah, it's just the similarities are so interesting throughout the board.
That's awesome. Shantel, how about you?
Yeah, just the similarities and the adversities during the certain times. Some of them are very similar in age. So they grew up in a generation where some of the same things were happening during a certain time frame. And so there was a lot of the similar adversities, a lot of the same difficulties that they had to find a way to adjust and push through. And so that was what I identified in a lot of their stories. They were kind of going through the same thing at the same time, the same difficulties as being females. And they were fighting through. They were still going. And I love that for them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think just, appreciating what we have now.
Yes.
I know some of the stories, of living in the Depression and waiting in line for food. And I think, we have everything so accessible at our fingertips. I mean, if we want food, we order it on our phone and they show up at our house.
Right.
We can't even fathom standing in line for a piece of bread.
Right.
Yeah.
And just, for me, it really makes me realize just how blessed we are.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And it also makes me a lot more willing to make these days of their life as pleasant as possible. Reading the HERstories and the difficult times they had, I just feel like, they had enough hard time, they're here. Let's make this the best time of their life. Let's make new memories and new just situations that make them smile and be happy.
Yeah.
Spoil them rotten.
So if somebody listening wants to start the HERstories in their community, or maybe just for a family member, what piece of advice would you give them?
Take time and gather the information properly. I would say use a timeline of their achievements and things like that, and you'll be able to pinpoint when this happened and to use your pictures and your photos.
Yeah.
I would just say start the conversation. Just gather stories and collect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say everyone has a great story.
Yes.
You don't have to be an award winner or a triathlon or, in the Olympic. Everybody has a unique and beautiful story that other people can learn from. So
I love that. And anybody listening, if you have a story of a powerful woman in your life, we would love to hear it. So feel free to drop it in the comments. But again, I am offering Charlie's help. If anybody wants a story preserved, reach out because we care about their stories. So ladies, any last minute thoughts you want to share about HERstory that we didn't get to?
Just do it. It's amazing. It's a gift to the resident. It's a gift to the families, but it's a gift to those gathering the information. So yeah.
Just have fun with it.
Yes, have fun.
I love it. I already cannot wait till next year. More and more stories. And that's what I love too, is year after year, sometimes we have the same stories and pictures from a resident, or sometimes new photos pop up that they didn't send us last year. So this is really fun. And I just thank you guys for everything you do every day.
We should put them in a book.
We should. Storybook. Shannon, are you watching? New project. I love it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here today. I think we did it. And I just hope you guys have a great day with all your residents.
You too. Welcome back.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.